So, what are we talking about today?
A TV series based on a video game.
A TV series based on a video game. What is it? What are we talking about?
I don't know, some underrated video game that no one liked called Fallout.
Hello there. I'm here to show you a wonderful place. A veritable Camelot of the nuclear age. Not made by God Almighty, but the working man.
You can be a hero by purchasing a residence in a Vault-Tec vault today. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need you to build a better day after.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally underrated. Definitely doesn't have a fan base.
Nobody likes it.
Nope.
Everyone hates Fallout.
The mission of the vaults should be important to everyone.
Yeah, they don't look forward to new releases or updates or nothing.
No. Can't think of one person who has.
Yeah, me either. Speaking of which, have you ever played it?
No.
Oh, see? So, I knew that was probably going to be your answer because you, as far as I understand it, you're not a big RPG kind of guy.
The RPGs I played were EverQuest and World of Warcraft and Fable.
I guess World of Warcraft is. I think of that more of like an MMO.
It is,
right?
But it's still RPG. It's MMORPG.
Yes,
it's in the title.
100%. I agree. The thing I think that for me, I just don't like MMO. So for me, it takes away from the gameplay, in my opinion. So like I did not buy Fallout 76.
Oh, and now Diablo.
Yeah, I played Diablo because I had friends that played Diablo, and like going down to dungeon and just smashing shit was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't play Diablo for character building and like all of that. I would just pick a character and build it. Where in Fallout, like I was very meticulous about building my characters. Same thing with any of the Elder Scrolls as well, which was like my introduction to RPGs was Morrowind. And then
I played Morrowind.
And original Xbox.
I did play Morrowind. I wasn't that much of a fan.
Dude, I didn't know what an RPG was yet. I had never played one before. It was my first introduction. So like I was just so confused by the game. I didn't know what to do. And it was like, I think probably the year or two later that I came back to it and finally like understood that like it's open world and you have to like go initiate quests and go find things to do. It doesn't just tell you where to go very clearly as like, you know, a game with an actual storyline that you have to follow. And only that storyline without the world to explore.
Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds.
So I was just like, okay, now I get it. And then I really, really started getting into it when I moved to Fallout 3. And then I was like, oh, this is cool. And then it was, I think, NewVegas, but then also Skyrim, and then Fallout 4. And all the downloads, like the Dragonborn, all that for Skyrim and stuff was a lot of fun. I played tons and tons of hours of those games. I think Bethesda makes some of the best games out there.
So when I first played EverQuest, I still have like 90s music tied to certain areas from just jamming the music.
Yeah.
And it triggers back memories of certain areas from EverQuest and World of Warcraft, that type of stuff. But EverQuest was the first MMO RPG I ever played. Mm-hmm. And it was on dial-up. So every time you had to go through those loading screens,
That'd be hard, yeah.
it took me 5 to 10 minutes to load.
Do you guys remember dial-up? Oh, so far back. Do you guys remember what dial-up is? Let us know in the comments if you're old enough to know dial-up.
So every time, say you're being chased by a whole bunch of mobs, and because you didn't want to die, most people would just run to the zone to load out and come back in real quick. See, that was like a 20-minute excursion just to load out and load back in just to save your life. So half the time it was easier to just die and get your body again.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness that they advanced that technology to the point. Imagine trying to play a game like Morrowind or Fallout where like you're moving through an open world and like you're going in and out of shops and like fast traveling from town to town. How long that would take if you were going in and out of load screens every time like you do. So let's get into it. Fallout, the series, Amazon Prime. I would love to hear. Normally, you jump right in. And you're like, well, what's different for you, and what was this? I'd love to hear someone's like almost virgin perspective of the Fallout universe. Like, what did you think?
I've been a virgin.
Yeah, okay. What are you, the 40-year-old virgin?
You're 40 years old. You know, 40's the new 20.
You know, from someone who has never played the video games and
They feel like sandbags with rocks.
oh damn, what's your perspective of it?
I enjoyed it. I don't have much to connect with the game. My brother used to play it, so I only briefly saw things, but I never followed the storyline. But I very much enjoyed the journey of, I'm bad with names, the lead guy who was the Ghoul. And all
They just call him the Ghoul, but yeah, he had a name when he was a human.
Yeah.
The actor.
Yeah.
Cooper, something Cooper.
I very much enjoyed his character development from how he essentially was like this well-celebrated person with strong morals.
Yeah.
And
He was like a Clint Eastwood at his prime, or like John Wayne. He was like the man, the actor in that. Yeah.
but he had very strong morals and conviction throughout the whole thing as a human. And the moment he started losing his humanity due to, I guess, the world ending and people reverting to baser needs and survival instincts and
Getting primal.
yeah. I very much enjoyed that. The story was fun. I did have a little trouble following certain points, like understanding why was that even relevant.
Why was what relevant?
Any of these certain situations that they went through, like why they were talking about so many of the other bases? Vaults, yes. Why the other vaults were important.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't understand that.
So the concept of the vaults, they're experiments, right? Like, you understood that part.
Got that towards the end.
Yeah. So
Everything here, spoilers.
of course, yeah, we're totally going to break down and share our opinions on the show. So if you haven't seen it yet, want to go see it, this is your warning. Spoilers ahead. So, inside of the games, you don't have this information. So the series actually brings this to a full circle. We always suspected that the nuclear fallout that ended civilization as you know it and creates the game was done by Vault-Tec. Like, we had a suspicion, but then there's also leading you to believe that like maybe China did it, or maybe China dropped the first one, and then whoever dropped the first one, we don't know, but then everyone launched them, right? So it's always been like this suspicion. Inside of the show, they've confirmed that Vault-Tec did it, right? Vault-Tec had all this money invested in these vaults and this doomsday prepping stuff that they did. And then they were like, well, we're going to ensure that this stuff actually sells. So we'll create doomsday. So Vault-Tec.
His wife, of all people.
Yeah, she turned super evil, right? That was a crazy twist. Vault-Tec decided that they were going to, it's all about money for them, right? It's all about financial gain. They want to be the best. They want to live for the guy up in the guy that's talking in their ear, the guy in the shadows that we don't know who he is yet.
But she sold her soul just so that she can ensure her family's safety.
In an actual good vault.
Yes.
Right? Because there are like vaults for the elite, like the one that Hank, the overseer, stays in, where they're all just frozen. Whichever one it was, 31, 32, 33 are connected. So whichever one it was, I think it was 31, where they're all connected, or somewhere they're all frozen, and they're like they are Vault-Tec.
A little brain RC car thing.
So you meet the guy who play the brain comes out of the guy you meet. So when you're in Vault-Tec, Walter Goggins' character who becomes the Ghoul. I keep forgetting his name, something Cooper. He meets a guy named Bud, or I forget that. I think his name is Bud. But he meets a guy in Vault-Tec, and he's like all about being a manager, and like, we need good managers. You remember that guy who was talking about that?
I think so.
Well, he's the one whose brain is in that robot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And he's managing. He's like doing his thing. But the idea is that Vault-Tec wants to make as much money as they can. And the other big corporations, Roboco and all those guys that are in there, Robco, I think it's called, man, like, YouTube will definitely let us know, because there's people out there who are like religious about this stuff where, you know, I'm just a raving fan. All of these large corporations come together, divvy up the vaults for money, and then run their own experiments at the end of the world. So as you're running through the game, you run into these experiments, but you as the character playing the game don't know what's happening unless you take the time to hack the terminals and read the logs. If you read the logs of what's going on, that's how you get this backstory of like what's going on. Otherwise, it's very unclear in a lot of the vaults what the actual experiment was.
Okay. So why did they want to get rich to create a situation where wealth had nothing else for them? Like, if the world ends and everything's in chaos and you have to survive in these vaults, what good is your money then?
They become the king of what's left, right?
So it's not about the money, it's about the power.
Power and money, right? Power and money.
Bottle caps became the currency.
Well, I don't think that they necessarily thought that was going to happen, right? I think my belief of this is that their thought was they were going to cleanse, basically wipe the earth clean, and then have all of these people inside of these vaults that they could bring back out, restart civilization, and then they would be in control of all of that and still have all the resources, money, power, you know, everything they would need to be like the ruler of the world. And I also think, and this is also a theory, that VaultTec had every intention of betraying all the other people and being like the true ruler of it all.
So they want to make their own little, I guess the proposition was they get these little micro kingdoms, right? And they get to be the king of their own little kingdom.
Right. Yeah.
And rebuild it. That's why they were talking about the whole rebuild it the way you want or experiment how you want, you do whatever you want type of situation when they sold it to them.
Basically like divvying up the United States into territories, yeah. Which it ends up becoming anyway, even without their influence, because you have the Enclave, you have the Brotherhood, you have the New California Republic, which is a huge piece of the actual games, which is like, they're basically like all wiped out in the show now. Like they're just a thing of the past, which is kind of cool. They like did a different take on that, which the show is based in the future of the games. So the games already happened in the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the first episode or the first season is the one where they're going through each level of the game story.
No, this is a totally unique story.
Okay.
It's actually, if you think about it, it's a combination of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 stories. Because Fallout 3, it's kind of cool because Liam Neeson does the voice of the dad. So it's like, you get like Taken vibes. It's pretty cool. But you start off as a young vault dweller. And it's just you and your dad, much like Lucy and her dad. And you like go through a sequence of like learning how to control the game. And like, it's basically tutorial mode. And then you break out of the vault and start the game. But you go out, you leave the vault to pursue your father because your father escapes the vault, right? So that's the one where you're in pursuit of the father. And then in Fallout 4, you're frozen, much like they are in 31. You, your wife, and your kid. And these raiders come in, kill your wife, take your kid, and then leave you for dead.
What is happening here?
And then you wake up many, many years later. You don't know how many years when you're playing the game. You find out in the end when you reunite with your son. That's the main storyline of it. But I think it's like a combination of those two. But it did a good job of making it uniquely their own. Because in Fallout New Vegas, you start as a surface dweller.
I was going to say, because that's where it seemed to lead off. And I knew where that was going because I saw, commercials for Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
And so it ends off where you see kind of Vegas in the background.
Yeah.
In the middle of that broken wasteland. It's just like, oh, I get this reference.
Yeah. Yeah, they're paying homage. And they're also going to probably take season 2 and have it be part of the Hoover Dam, right? So the great thing about Vegas and why it's so powerful is that all its power comes from the Hoover Dam. It controls the main power source of the area. Mm-hmm. And so a big part of New Vegas's storyline is these battles for the power. And then you kind of end on the Hoover Dam.
Cool. That sounds really neat.
they're phenomenal games. Even if you've played them before, like playing through them again, it's a unique experience, right? Because it's open world. The different choices you make will change the different outcomes you can have. And so I think it's a game you can play more than once and have a lot of fun. And the show did a really good job, in my opinion, making it such a unique storyline that someone like yourself, who only knows references of the game, can sit down and really enjoy it. What I believe is amazing about this show is that it allows the story to be unique enough and explained enough that someone who's never played the games can enjoy it and have a full experience. But there are so many Easter eggs and nods to those people who put hours and hours and hours into those games. Like, one of my favorite parts, I knew it was going to be a good show in the first 2 minutes because of the way they introduced Lucy, right? They literally did a character development. Like, when you start the game, you figure out, like, do I want strength or stamina or, charisma or, and I think I'm thinking more of like the Elder Scrolls style and mixing the two character development together. But that's what you're doing, right? You're picking like stealth, like which one do I want to be better at? And so when they introduce Lucy, she's basically introducing herself in a way that's like explaining her stat card. And I thought that was really cool.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, she's like, we're part of the pipe fitters union. So like she has like good mechanics. And then she's like, I don't know, gymnastics. So she would have good aerobatics, like I think it was aerobatics. So those are all different skills that in the game you can be leveling up to create a unique character.
Okay.
And she's telling you,
pick up on that.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Like, I thought that was a really cool like nod to like character building. And I immediately knew that this was going to be a really good series. And then it did not disappoint from there on out.
I very much enjoyed the soldier.
Maximus.
Yes.
Everyone wants to save the world. They disagree on how.
Another unique. So the Brotherhood is not unique to the Fallout universe, but what they did with the Brotherhood is, as far as I understand, nothing I've ever seen in the game before. The different, like the Squire, I have never run into a Brotherhood knight that had a Squire carrying his stuff before. Like, that was a new role I've never seen before. And then the guy in the robes, that's like almost like a cardinal or like a bishop, like the way he's dressed. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That I've never ran into those guys in the Brotherhood before either.
That gave me some creepy vibes there.
You going Catholic priests over there?
Yeah.
Catholic priest stinks.
No.
That was definitely the negative connotation I think they were looking for.
No, yeah. They did a really good job of creating that like hierarchy and dynamic of like corruption and because that dude's definitely corrupt. He's definitely corrupt. And like sort of looking for hazing and like belittling.
If you look back at history for the priests and all that stuff, the reason people became priests was that was their political force, right? They had huge influence, and that's how they could get wealthy, is just by becoming a priest and running their own church, stuff like that. So it's an example of getting into a profession for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
In taking
wrong reasons.
Right.
It goes against the exact thing you're teaching, but
that's how I felt when they showed that character was that's all he's there for is there. Nobody has any real type of decent job type stuff. This is the only way he could get ahead and use political influence based on the position that he could acquire by choosing that role.
Yeah, it brings no real value other than the role title he keeps. And so he's using that.
But to me, his whole story arc felt very much like a dark version of The Knight's Tale.
You're talking about Maximus.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. The Knight's Tale is a great freaking movie.
I love
one of the best Heath Ledger's. But and then there was also like the dude from Alien, Resident Alien. He's in that.
It's called a lance.
And then the King Robert Baratheon was in that. Much younger version of him is in that movie. A lot of really good characters. A lot of good actors, I should say. Actresses. Maximus's whole journey, I thought, was pretty cool. Just like watching his character develop and kind of find his purpose more than just being in a cult, basically, and being brainwashed and beaten in, which I thought that was cool. Lucy's arc was awesome to watch, you know.
So for Maximus, real quick, he went very much from idealism for the Brotherhood. In the beginning when he joined, that was like his reason to join, was so that he could become one of the knights.
Yeah, he was looking for somewhere to belong.
Yes.
Doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
And he saw the role model like kids being a soldier or something like that, right? So a lot of kids join the military, they see, oh, hero, hero, hero. I want to be that. And that's what he saw, and it was his only clear direction that he could take without really succumbing. And his journey along the way led him down to a super dark and kind of cutthroat path. Like when his friend...
the one that sabotages his self?
Yeah, I have questions about that. Right? Yes. I seriously thought he did that. I thought it was...
I was under the same suspicions at the time that he totally had done it. Yeah.
Well, through the whole series, you're thinking that he did do it and that they covered for him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the very end when they
admit it.
They admit it, but they also grow a spine. Like they came into themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, we're gung-ho now. I'll help you with whatever you need. It's like they were just missing their purpose as well.
Yeah.
So in a lost dystopian future, you see all these different characters finding their own unique purposes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I absolutely loved about it. Look how many people corrected their own path just by finding their unique purpose in the world. And the fact that they had to uncover it through trials and tribulations was very fun and fascinating. Down to even her brother. Like, what, Luke's brother?
Norm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave me very creepy, what was it? Rat flute guy vibes.
Look, Pied Piper.
Pied Piper.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with his character because of Ender's Game and the little asshole he plays in that movie. And then he was such an opposite character, but like in a same kind of, I don't know, he just looked so similar in the way he was dressed and acted that I was looking for like a little cocky kid. And then he was like this little...
That could have why I got those vibes, is because I knew I didn't like him the moment I saw him.
Because of Ender's Game.
Yes. I didn't make the connection, though.
Yeah.
I didn't make the connection until you just said that. So that...
Good actor, because if we're that connected to that character that we don't like him in a new movie and we're holding him against that, that's good acting.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But to me, his character was very dark. Like, he is conniving.
Are like a little just crazy. And he is very behind. He's meticulous. He's like, he reminds me of a chess player. He's making all these moves and you don't even know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there was one character I did not see as dark in any way whatsoever. And it's the one vault dweller that walks around like blatantly, I feel bad. I voted for the other person. Like, he's just dumb. The guy with the mustache.
The old man. The old,
he's older, but yeah. The guy with the mustache.
He's like the literary historian or whatever. He's like the book guy for them.
I didn't pay that much attention to him. I was like, this guy's a freaking idiot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
And you telling me that he's in charge of their literary history, that makes me feel even worse about their situation.
Pretty sure that I'm accurate. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Also, let us know, Liam brought up a good point just now with the character arc of many of them, especially Maximus. When they found their purpose, it was like they became this unstoppable force, and they, like, yeah, the obstacles still came their way and they still had things to overcome, but it was like easier almost for them, like almost more effortless, right? Because they knew what they had to do. And let us know in the comments, do you see that too? And does that show up in your life?
It wasn't. I would argue it wasn't easier for them. The choices were easier.
That's what I mean.
Not the tasks themselves.
Right. 100%. That's much more clear. Yes.
That's how I felt for that, and that's what we see a lot.
Yeah. And so I'm excited for season 2, definitely. I'm not to skip ahead of a lot of stuff, but we talked about New Vegas briefly, and I wanted to talk about. So as far as I remember, let me know in the comments. In the end of New Vegas is basically like in a state of turmoil, right? It's not necessarily like you don't necessarily like solve world peace inside of New Vegas. Depending on like the story, like how you pick to end it, you could give them freedom, but then you could also like basically take over, right? Or like align with Mr. House, or like you can have many different choices at the end of the game. And so I'm interested to see how they pick that up, right? Because my experience at the end of New Vegas could be different from your experience at the end of New Vegas. So how do they tie that into what we're going to experience as the viewer, right?
I have no idea because I don't know anything about it.
Let us know in the comments. What do you guys think? I'm very interested to see that. New Vegas is interesting. So basically, the one guy who owns, I forget which of the companies on the top of my head. Let me know in the comments. You guys are awesome. They know it all, the information for sure.
That's the power of crowdsourcing.
Yeah. He basically runs New Vegas, Mr. House, that guy.
So like a kingpin type character?
Yeah. And then he gives a couple of the big hotels to other factions. And then that obviously doesn't turn out to be the best idea. Basically gives too much power to other people. And it doesn't end well, right? There's like a lot of bad shit happening in New Vegas because of it.
That sounds a whole lot like the vaults and the different companies.
Yeah.
Just on a smaller scale.
When I watched the show, I thought about replaying the games because it's been 10 years at least since I played one, I would think. Yeah, because Caden poured wax into my Xbox when he was like 1 or 2. He's 9 now, so it's probably 7 years ago that I played a game like Fallout. So the storylines are a little phasey, and I don't usually play those games for the storyline. I play it because it's open world and I can go do what the hell I want and have fun. So
I'm curious, what'd you think of the actual knight himself? I know he had a very small part, but what'd you think about him?
So
I thought he was rather interesting. Like, he was very jaded and very dark and scared of his own shadow.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was like shell shock, PTSD type stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I got why, why it had to happen. But like, you would think that someone who is a seasoned Brotherhood knight who has been out in the wasteland would not be so
cowardly lion.
Yeah. Like, he saw I think they're radiated bears. I believe they're called Yawguais. Again, it's been a while since I played the game. And he like sees it and runs. Meanwhile, he's wearing power armor. It's like, in the game, if you were playing the game and you were wearing power armor and you saw the bear, you would just fight it. You would just fight it. You wouldn't try to run from it and have it like rip your essentials off. So
I like the axolotl or whatever it's called.
the thing that looks like an axolotl,
yeah,
that turned out to be a human that was experimented on.
Yes.
That's crazy.
That was freaking cool.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, that is really neat. I enjoyed the experimentation stuff.
Yeah.
The storyline. I kind of love the whole the vault scene where they go into the vault with the guy with the eyeball in the forehead,
Vault
the Cyclops.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool take on it. And looking at the whole cult-like universe that they built inside there.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to be very, very dark.
A lot of
They were less dark than I expected.
Yeah, they were actually that was like the big twist with that vault was like, that even when they want to sentence you to death, they just like exile you right to death. So they're very generous and they give you supplies. So yeah,
it's like, oh yes, we're doing it to torture you. Oh, and we gave you a few days supplies. But you're still leaving.
One thing too, like you'll notice in the post-apocalyptic world that is Fallout, that a lot of the factions are very cult-like.
Yeah, that sounds like a cult.
It's not a cult.
Like they have a doctrine. When shit hits the fan, they have a very specific thing that they say. Like the Brotherhood, they have that one saying that they kept saying. I can't think of the top of my head right now. But every time shit would get bad, they would just keep saying it. You remember what I'm saying? What I'm talking about?
I don't specifically recall. That's not one of the things that stood out to me.
Yeah, it's not popping back in my brain. I was a little. So they end the very end too. They show you the skull of a Deathclaw, which is like one of the hardest naturally roaming enemies in the game.
So based on the experimentations, is it a naturally roaming enemy or was it a human being?
I don't remember any game lore or any content that claims Deathclaw. I think Deathclaws are a natural mutation. Let us know in the comments. I'm pretty sure Deathclaws are just a natural, like a naturally mutated creature that was on the surface.
And I do have questions about the Ghoul portion.
Yeah.
So the one dude ran into the medicine man, right?
Yeah, the crazy guy is he's basically the snake oil salesman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he ended up turning him into a ghoul from the concoction that he made.
Yeah.
So was turning into a ghoul a natural course, or was turning into a ghoul an accident using radioactive stuff?
So
is there lore?
There is both. So there are people in the game. There are people who are ghouls from radiation just because of being exposed to it. And then there are people in the game who choose to become ghouls because it basically gives you immortality.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're radiant resistant. You live much longer. Like you're stronger.
Was that something you can choose in the game?
You, as a character, cannot choose to become a ghoul. Okay. But you run into characters who, by their own choice, have become ghouls. And then you also run into characters who were ghoulified, I think that's how you would say it, by natural means.
Okay.
And then you also have the ferals, which are ghouls who have lost their minds. And then you have the glowing ones, which are feral ghouls who are just so irradiated that even getting near them is like radiation poisoning.
So I felt like they showed us a little bit of that in Vault 4, you said? The woman with the glowing eyes? Is that what you mean by the glowing ones?
I think that was just a experiment in bioluminescence. Like, because that was
pretty cool, though.
That whole Vaults thing was combining animal and human DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they just took some, a fish or something that was bioluminescent, shrimp, whatever it might have been. The same way they make glowfish now. And that's, mix it. That would be my thought there. But
would you watch it again? Would you watch season 2?
Would I watch Fallout season 1 again?
Yes.
Yes, I would. And I'm excited for season 2. I don't think I need to. I think I got enough information that rolling into season 2, I may do like a quick recap right before.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I need to go spend, 8 hours of my life rewatching season 1 right now. And I thought it was great. I recommend if you're into post-apocalyptic fantasy style stuff, Fallout's great. And you don't have to even you do not have to have played the games to watch the movie or watch the show.
I would agree. You don't have to be a fan of the game to enjoy it.
Yeah, being a fan of the games definitely helps because there's so many good Easter eggs for us to see.
The robot things.
Yeah,
like that floating guy with the saw that wants to cut her up in different organs.
Yeah.
Are they naturally evil, or is it just based on whoever is controlling them or their owner?
So I have never, they malfunction, right? So they malfunction and then they go psycho and they like kill, but you can like reprogram them.
I thought that was cool that they had the actor towards the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the beginning, but before the turmoil and stuff, how they do their weird flashback stuff. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And after you heard his voice, you're like, you can't unhear that.
Yeah. So
it gave a person to the machine.
yeah, when you run into them in the game, the robots, they're usually programmed to be like on defense or protecting an area, right? And so if your sneak skill's high enough, you can sneak up on them and like reprogram to fight each other and like do cool things. But normally, if they see you, they're programmed to try and kill you. Like they're an enemy in the game.
Okay.
But then you also run into some, because there's 3 different types, right? There's the Mr. Handy, who's like the one who helps you around the house. There's the medical one, which is the one Lucy runs into. And then you have like the combat ones that actually like have like weapons and fight.
Did we see any of the combat ones? I don't recall seeing the
They're in the game for sure.
No, I mean the series.
No, I don't think she saw them in the series, no. They'll probably save that for like a NewVegas or something.
Okay.
Drop it later, because there's so much lore and creatures and different stories that we can go down in season 2 that we haven't seen yet.
I am curious about the different experiments that take place in the other vaults, though.
Yeah. There's
based on the ones that we've already seen.
Yeah.
Do the games so far cover all the vaults, or
no? You have not been in every single vault yet. You know of them,
but you know of all the experiments.
No. So each game is a different part of the world. So until you've played every part of the world, I don't think you've been to every vault. I'm not going to remember the exact locations. I'm pretty sure, obviously, Fallout New Vegas is Nevada. Fallout 3, it's been way too long. I'll have to look it up. Yeah. I know that Fallout 76 is supposed to be the Northeast, like Virginia area. Fallout 4.
I was going to say, do you think that they made this as something for the fans, or more for because they want to bring people back to the game and hype them up for a new one that may be coming out?
I think that they've tried for a long time to successfully transfer over what people love about video games into movies and TV.
You look out at this wasteland, looks like chaos, but there's always somebody behind the wheel.